Donald Trump just finished a press conference, 3/4 of which was about grievances related to that past conviction related to alleged sexual assault. I know
you did just again call for a mental competency test for politicians over the age of 75. There's only one over the age of 75 currently running for president. Kamala Harris is in her 50s, like you and me.
They said one person who didn't support me, he said, I must admit I had the most...
Donald Trump's biggest issue in this campaign right now is the fact that he keeps opening up his mouth. Yes, every time Donald Trump speaks in any sort of campaign capacity, he either humiliates himself, exposes his own cognitive decline, or says something that completely backfires in the most humiliating way. And when he does so, his friends at the Fox propaganda outlet or other MAGA Republicans rush into action to clean up his mess. But with one particular, I guess we should call this person a Trumpsto, because they did endorse Donald Trump at the RNC. But I think there's some residual tension and anger there with Nikki Haley. She didn't do that. She didn't try to clean up Donald Trump's mess today. She actually stabbed him in the back in an interview with CBS, which I think is going to get Donald Trump pretty upset, but I think you understand the situation. The tension between Haley and Trump, we have to go back to just a day ago and what Donald Trump said in a town hall with Shan Hannity, and a clip that I want to check out right here.
They said one person who didn't support me, he said, I must admit I had the most successful 4 years of my life, but I'm going to vote for some. I said, and now that person came back to me. I don't want that person. I don't want that person. You know, they say you should take everybody, but that's not the way I'm built. It's one of those little problems.
So, of course, Donald Trump, a person with no shortage of grievances or complaints, really still reeling from that Republican primary. The consistent attacks that Nikki Haley made on his cognitive decline, I think really got at him and still stick with him. He's still upset. We saw at the RNC when Nikki Haley did endorse Donald Trump, which was just really come on a spineless move. He wasn't really smiling. He still attacks Nikki Haley, voters, as we saw, saying he does not want them to be a part of his campaign. So there's that anger there, and that anger we saw again today when Donald Trump, following the hearing for the appeal in his E.G. Carroll case. We saw him in this disgusting press conference in which he was just railing against E.G. Carroll in a defamatory way that I hope he gets sued for again. But that was what Nikki Haley was asked about in this CBS interview. So before we play her response of really just stabbing Trump in the back, like I said, there's still that tension between them. I want to check out a clip of what Trump had to say in this gross, rambling press conference today.
Because it was a setup, a rigged deal. They had 2 witnesses. And before I start, I have no idea who this woman is. They have a picture from, they say, about 40 years ago, a picture. And the picture depicts her and her husband on a celebrity line where I was the celebrity. I've been a celebrity for a long time. And they were shaking my hands along with hundreds of other people. Nobody even knows where it is. The problem is she doesn't know the date of this incident. She doesn't know when. She doesn't know, was it in the 90s? Could it have been further than that? She has no idea when.
I hope E.G. Carroll sues him for defamation again. Just disgusting, what a gross person. I can't believe anyone could defend this guy. It's just absolutely foul. How could you? With a straight face, look at your kids and tell them you're voting for that guy. It's just gross. And that's why Nikki Haley, as spineless as she is, really couldn't muster up the courage to defend Donald Trump today and actually took a shot at him, stabbing him in the back. Like I said in this clip from an interview with CBS today,
Donald Trump just finished a press conference, 3/4 of which was about grievances related to that past conviction related to alleged sexual assault. I know when you were campaigning, you said you had no reason really to question the findings of the jury related to the defamation case brought by E.G. Carroll. I'm not asking about the specifics of the case, but if that's the focus of a press conference for a presidential candidate, A, is it the best use of his time? And what is the message to female voters to be going through this again?
Well, I think the focus for me is on policy. You know, I think
But he's the candidate.
No, and I've always said, look, if I thought Biden or Trump were great candidates, I wouldn't have run for president. I ran because I thought I could do a better job.
You don't think he's a good candidate?
I think he is the Republican nominee.
I don't want to give Nikki Haley any credit, because if she actually cared about democracy, like she claims to, if she actually cared about this country, like she claims to, she wouldn't have endorsed Donald Trump. She wouldn't have even not endorsed him. She would have gone as far as to endorse K.L. Harris, like we've seen from Adam Kinzinger, like we've seen from Liz Cheney, like we've seen now from Dick Cheney supporting KLA Harris. And so I don't want to give her any credit, but I do appreciate the kind of, in a nod to her former Haley voters, saying, yeah, I don't think Donald Trump is a good candidate. Because obviously he's not what type of, that's not a difficult conclusion to come to, Nikki. That is not some grand idea that you have finally mustered up the courage to say that Donald Trump is a bad candidate. Of course he is. And she has previously said this in interviews past, and I don't know why she just won't fully come out and say it. But she did a little bit referencing Donald Trump's cognitive decline in an interview right here with Jake Tapper.
You did just, again, call for a mental competency test for politicians over the age of 75. There's only one over the age of 75 currently running for president. Kamala Harris is in her 50s, like you and me, sharp as a tack, those of us in our 50s. Do you think Donald Trump should take a mental competency test?
I have said, and it's not just Donald Trump, I think members of Congress.
Not only does Nikki Haley know that Donald Trump is too dangerous to be president, as much as I don't like to use this word, she also knows that he's too dumb to be president. He doesn't have the cognitive ability. Doctors, medical professionals have called this out. Typically, a topic that is not spoken upon with regard to public officials, but Donald Trump is in cognitive decline. We know this. He loses it more and more. And I know some people don't necessarily love that term, but it is the best description that we can have. He is more angry and embittered and radical than ever with his speech and with his actions. These are clear signs of a person who is deteriorating, as Donald Trump is just completely overcome with his anger, and I don't like out of control. Although sometimes I say that about Donald Trump. If he's an adult, he should be able to control himself, but he can't. Because he's not an adult. He's actually a child. And so, again, Nikki Haley, why do you not have the courage to call out Donald Trump? It's just sad. It shows that Nikki Haley does not have the character of a real leader. Like we'd hope she would. I have policy disagreements with her, of course, but have the real courage to step up. But even though she is not, we see Nikki Haley voters are, and I want to read about that in this article right here, X. Nikki Haley voters rally behind Kamala Harris. I picked the side that had the least issues. Some former supporters of Nikki Haley are now organizing for Harris, who they see as the better choice over Trump after the former South Carolina governor. Nikki Haley dropped out of the Republican primary earlier this year. Some conservatives across the U.S. continued to vote for her in subsequent primaries, casting ballots that indicated dissent within a party that has otherwise fully embraced Donald Trump. When Haley first announced that she would be supporting the ex-president in the upcoming election, she said that it was on him to mobilize her loyalists, but it was the then Biden campaign, not Trump's, that actively began engaging Haley voters. I want to be clear. There is a place for you in my campaign, Joe Biden wrote on Twitter in an ad targeting Haley voters with the president out of the race. Now, some of those former Haley voters are organized behind Democratic candidate Harris in a political action committee called Haley Voters for Harris' former Haley voters. Many of whom are in swing states will be vital in determining the outcome of the election, according to Snyder. As a result, Haley voters for Harris is primarily targeting center-right. Voters by engaging in direct communication and education on political issues. We are developing the strongest arguments and factual accounts to give to voters to help them cross that line. Snyder, a registered Republican, said they've already taken their journey away from their Republican leaning. The question is, do they want to go the last mile and vote for the Democratic nominee? We want them to get across that mile. Absolutely, we do. This is a big tent coalition that is supporting KLA Harris and Tim Walz to be the next president and vice president in the United States. But of course, the top of the ticket is so important, but so are down ballot races. And I wanted to talk about one of those in this video today, and with it being so important that not only Democrats retain the Senate, but we keep the House. I wanted to talk about a specific House race that we need to flip from red to blue, and that is Democratic candidate Jonathan Nez, who is running against a first-term Republican, and Eli Crane. Eli Crane is a member of the Extreme Fiery Freedom Caucus. That's Matt Gaetz, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and is one of the 8 Republicans who tried to ask Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, and he refers to Matt Gaetz as a brother. Matt Gaetz, a brother, and recently received Donald Trump's complete and total endorsement. On the other hand, Nez is the former president of the Navajo Nation who secured funds to construct new healthcare facilities and homes for veterans. He invested in public safety and hired new police officers and bolstered infrastructure, improving many roads and bridges, building clean water and electricity for thousands of previously underserved residents of his community. This is an incredible leader who we need in Congress. And so below in the comments, I'm going to link a link for you to contribute to his campaign if you are able to. It really goes a long way again. We need to flip the House. It is so critically important, so a little bit of support goes a long way. And if you want to support this channel as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like. And until next time, I'll see you soon.